Yo, what's up, Mander here. Today I'm going to be doing a tier list on 10.2 PvP specs and primarily 3v3 or solo shuffle. Pretty much both. Usually they're about the same. And yeah, I'm going to be doing a tier list on that. So first let me put the tanks in the tanks tier. Alright, there it is. All the tanks in the tank tier. Basically all the classes that are unable to be killed. No, I'm joking. Obviously, Sub-Rogue and Og is not a tank, but it definitely fucking feels like it. Speaking of Sub-Rogue, I don't know if you've watched this, but the Void.dg solo shuffle tournament was like a week ago, maybe, and Sub-Rogue, also known as Calvish, like you don't even say Sub-Rogue at this point, you just say Calvish. S++, whatever is above S. You know what I'm saying? Like, it deserves. Like, S is literally standing for sub. Like, it's just that good. If you're Calvish. Now, I have played with a decent amount of rogues and a lot against a decent amount of rogues. In 0 of them in my, rank 1 solo shuffles, like 2500 MMR, my like 2300 MMR 3v3 arenas, literally none of them are on the tier of Calvish. Now, I have faced Calvish in 2s a couple times, but he was playing Outlaw, so it didn't count. Now, this is fun. It was insane. Insane amount of damage he does. Obviously the CC sub has, and then Calvish somehow does 3x more damage than every other sub rogue. And, yeah. So just gonna put that up there right away. And then we have Augmentation, I guess, because I moved it here because I put in the tanks and put it down here. Aug, it's like, it's definitely not nearly as dominant as it was last season. Last season, especially in EU, solo shuffle, there was a shit ton of Augs. And, like, it went really well with a lot of different things. Like, I had this one lobby last season where it was, I think, triple Aug and then me. A Demonology Warlock. Triple Aug me. And it was the most boring lobby I was in. It was just one shot in like the opener, and then obviously no one died in the opener, but just 120k DPS from a support class, and then AFK for the rest of the game. But yeah, I think right now it's either a B or low A. Like last season, you could just fit it in with basically any melee in the game and it'd do well. Right now, it's like you need to play, I think, maybe Aug DK right now in order for it to be good. But I haven't really seen any Augs like at all. So I'm just gonna put in. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll put it in C. I'll put it in C. Now we have Demon Hunter, which was very, very dominant. And at the very start of the season, Demon Hunter probably did 40% more damage than any other spec in the game. And then it got nerfed. It still does probably the most damage in a game, but it's not unhealable damage, I guess. So I think it'll just be an A. I don't think it's on the tier of sub, but it is very, very good. Now Feral here. Now I'm thinking this is an easy B tier. Feral, you can do really well in certain comps like FMP or jungle. Like jungle, I face jungle rarely, but when I do face it, it has the most insane single target damage I've seen. Now to be fair, I do play casters. Like I exclusively play casters, so jungle is gonna do a lot of damage into casters. But that's how it goes, I guess. So yeah, I'd say Pharaoh's a very solid B. Also, maybe Kitty Cleave, I'm not sure if that's a thing still. BM Hunter, I'd say probably an easy A. Like I said before, it's very good in jungle. It can be played in. I'm not sure if this is still a comp or not, but last season you could play Destro BM, and it was pretty decent. This season, I don't think so. I could be wrong. And you can also play PhD, DK, Unholy DK, and BM Hunter. Now, okay, real quick. Just real quick. Let me go to Unholy DK. I think this is above DH. Unholy DK is very, very good. The Unholy DK is like the damage, the single target damage threat of, I don't even know. But it's very high single target damage. It's very insane single target damage, and it's very high pressure. Pair a DK up with a BM Hunter or a Warrior or a DH, basically any class in the game, and it's insanely solid. Now, Survival Hunter definitely does not do as much damage as BM and still can be played. I think Survival can be played in jungle still, but it's just not as good as BM probably. I think Survival is probably the worst spec out of the three. Like I'd put Mark's B tier as well. And I think Survival is just under Marks. Now, I have not seen very much Marksman either, but when I do see it, it does do some very solid burst. It's not as crazy as it was last season, I'd say, but it's still solid. And I'd say it's probably just around this tier, B tier, along with Feral and Survival. I forgot tank. Alright, Assassination. Assassination. Now, the comps you can play with Assassination is stuff like Rogue Boomy, Rogue Warlock, Rogue let's see, maybe Rogue Hunter. Rogue Hunter might be decent, but Assassination just has like very high pressure, single target and cleave, it seems like. Just Garrote, Rupture, and Internal Bleeding all do very high damage, and they're all bleeds. I'd say it's like a low A. That's what I'd say. So I'll put it here for now, but I think it's lower on the A than these other specs. Now we have Fury Warrior. Fury Warrior, I'd say, is probably like it's like high C, low B. Maybe I wouldn't say that Fury is better than Survival, but it's pretty close. So I'm gonna go with low B on Fury, and you know, the basic warrior comms. You could play Rat War, you can play Warrior Destro, Warrior DK. Honestly, you can just throw a fucking Warrior with Unholy DK and it'll be great. Just any spec, doesn't even matter. Now we have Arms Warrior, which I think Arms Warrior would either have to be high B or low A. That's what makes sense to me. It's definitely better than Fury. I'm not sure if I want Arms and Fury in the same tier, but they're both decent. Arms is better, I think. Now, Devastation, I'd say, is another either low B or maybe C. Devastation seems to do pretty well in like caster matchups, just like very high burst, and you can cast while moving, like with what's it called? Your channel, I forgot what's called. It's like Devastate or Disintegrate. You can disintegrate and weave around pillars to avoid damage. It's very it can be decent, definitely. Like I said before, high burst. So I'd probably put in B tier. Now, Preservation Evoker, on the other hand, I think Preservation, even with the holy buffs, maybe maybe Holy shines ahead just slightly, simply because you can play like RMP or something. But Preservation is a top contender for either the worst healer or the second to worst healer. Like every Preservation evoker I go against, we can easily kill. It's so easy to kill them, and their uptime can be very good if they're healing like a melee cleave, because then they can AoE heal very easily. But other than that, it's just not enough output, and your offensive capability isn't good enough for your output not to be good enough, your healing output. Now Combat Rogue or Outlaw Rogue, this might be another A. Outlaw can basically take the place of any Assassination Rogue in any comp. You can play RMP, you can play Rogue Hunter, you can play what's it called? Rogue Lock, Rogue Boomy, just any of those. It's just very solid right now. Now we have Frost DK. Frost DK seems to have some very high burst potential, as usual. Like if you have a melee lobby, maybe. I don't play Frost DK, so I couldn't really tell you. But I would imagine in my brain that if you have melee lobby as a Frost DK, you can grip in the healer and the 2 melee already on you, and you can triple blind and do your setup. So I'd imagine it'd be good. You can just go healer every setup, and then go the DPS every in between. But in caster lobbies, this Frost DK does seem very rough. And overall, just not enough outputs. I'd say it's above Aug and Prez though, definitely. Now we have Fire Mage. Fire Mage got nerfed substantially since the very start. Like the start, it was probably up here in A with these classes. Now it's probably around B. Its burst got nerfed, ignite got nerfed. It's just less damage output. Glass cannon got reworked, or not reworked, but tuned a bit, so you lose less health, but you do less damage. It's just not. I don't think it's as good as Frost, which I think Frost will probably be highest of the B tier. Frost can be very solid in caster cleaves, and maybe a rogue mage. I'm not really sure. I haven't seen too many rogue mages, especially Frost rogue mage, but it seems decent with Ray of Frost and Frostbomb burst, because that's what's like really good about Frost mage right now is their burst with Frostbomb. Like if you get that shatter with Frostbomb and Ray at the same time, that's like 100% of someone's health bar. If if they have no healing, no defensives, that's 100% of their health bar total in damage. It's pretty good damage, and the slows add a lot of value too. Like I play with a Frost Mage and I play Demo a lot. Now to Holy Priest. Holy Priest is probably around this when it comes inside the C tier. I think it shines ahead of Preservation a little bit now after the buffs. I mean, it just got a 6% buff and it had a buff to the week prior. I'm not sure what it was exactly, but basically a lot of healing output buffs. And I think it got a damage buff. So, you can play RMP, you can play FMP, you can play jungle. Just the standard set of base comps, mainly. That's what you want to be playing as a Holy Priest. Now, Retribution Paladin, Rets are like right here, somewhere around here, because Ret War is the most unkillable thing ever, and it's just so difficult to kill. Like I went against Vanguard's Mud CX and someone else playing threes. It was like an 8-minute game. And eventually we killed them in super late dampening, But it was like they had a cooldown forever ago, and it's crazy seeing good players play Red War, like just how unkillable they are. Obviously you could play Red War, you could play Cupid. I haven't seen too much Cupid recently, especially how dominant it was last season and the season prior to that. Even with BM being as solid as it is, I'd say BM is like down there compared to these specs. But yeah, Holy Paladin. I've seen a very high spike in popularity in Holy Paladin. Like, a lot more people started playing Holy Paladin, but I'm not really sure how good it is. It might be like in last season where a lot of people played Discipline Priest, but it wasn't good at all. It was just fun. Now, it could be good. I haven't been really playing this week and PvEing a lot, so I haven't really seen what's going on with Holy Paladin. So I'm gonna say it's probably better than these two, and I'm gonna just go with low B. But I'm not really sure, like 100%. All right, now we have Arcane. Arcane is again very good in FMP. It can be played in RMP. It can be played maybe Warrior Mage. I'm not sure. Caster Cleaves might not do as well as if you were with a Rogue or a Feral. Maybe even Windwalker Arcane can be good, but it has very insane bursts, just like Frost, but you know, it's Arcane. Very insane burst and insane kiting capabilities. And with the CC it provides, it can be very solid, I think. Right around this tier. Now Discipline Priest. Discipline Priest is probably around A tier. Now Disc is... I've had some games against Disc where the game lasted so long just because it was Disc. But Disc can really just fit in with basically anything. It can be a cast cleave healer, it can be a melee cleave healer, it can be a setup based healer, like maybe not RMP, but jungle. It can be definitely very solid. It can heal FMP, all that stuff. It's just very, very solid because of the CC Priest has, and the healing output it has right now, and the potential damage output you can do if you choose to go the route. Like one of my friends I play with, Markers, he plays Discipline Priest a lot. He does insane damage. Like I'll tell you what, he does some very huge burst, and not many priests do that, but he does. So I don't see it very often, but I definitely see it when he does it. And you know, that's more of a twos thing, but you know what I'm saying, it can be very high damage. It has very good output, and it has a CC. Now, Mistweaver Monk. Mistweaver, the casted Mistweaver, I feel like is very solid in caster cleaves. Like, you know, I play Demo. I play Demo, Frost Mage, Demo Ellie, maybe Demo Boomy. All those, Mistweaver is a very solid healer for. Now, for Fistweaver, Fistweaver is very solid in things like Ret Warrior, DK. Any melee cleave, basically, you can just put a Fistweaver in, and it's very solid. It can be very good. I'd say it's either high B. I wouldn't put it in the same tier as Disc, but I'd say it's around here. Now, Windwalker Monk, I don't really see too many Windwalker Monks anymore. I'm not really too sure why, but when I do see a Windwalker Monk, it's usually played with a DK. Like, Windwalker DK seems like a very solid comp. You haven't really seen Windwalker Warrior since Shadowlands. This whole expansion, Windwalker Warrior has been pretty obsolete. There was that Windwalker Arcane comp you could play last season. I'm not sure if it's still good, but it was definitely solid last season. And I think Windwalker is just like, it's another melee. It's going right next to, Warrior, Barrel, Survival. It's just another melee, right now. Oh, did I put? Okay, I put Residruid there next to it. Alright, Residruid. Oh my god. Residruid. Alright, it's going into S tier. Even post nerf. Actually, has the nerf went through? I think the nerf has went through. I don't know. But it even like pre-nerf, post-nerf probably doesn't fucking matter. The healer just does like 20% more healing than any other healer in the game. It's so much better. And it just brings comps to dampening no matter what the fuck you're playing. Like if you're oh shit. If you're playing the most AIDS comp I've seen, or not the most AIDS comp, but a very AIDS comp I've seen, is a dampening, like, Outlaw, Arcane, druid. That is the definition of a dampening comp. Even though it's RMD, it's still somehow super damp. This is, you don't even need a CC, you just do damage. You play like it's warrior, mage. It's just super AIDS. It can bring things like Ret War or druid. You might not have as much offensive capability, but you have double the defensive capability, even as a fucking Ret Warrior. Like as a Ret Warrior or druid, you're not dying until at least like 40% dampening, unless you're going against an RMP or something. Like you're just not dying. Because how many cooldowns Ret War have, and then a druid can like pre-Tron to go and fucking just top someone while CC'd. Just insane healing output for our druid. Alright, now on to Elemental Shaman. Ellie, I feel like, is in a very solid spot right now. As an Ellie, into any caster comp, you're just automatically favored, just simply because of sheer grounding. Like, grounding is unbelievably annoying. I think they need to bring grounding back to kind of what it was in Classic, where you ground the next, like in Classic it's where you ground the next spell. I think it either needs to be a shorter duration, like 1 to 2 seconds, or it needs to be like the next 3 spells or something, because they, like, a 25-second cooldown and grounding with a 3-second duration is that's just, the numbers do not equate to a fair game. It's stupid. But, yeah, I know, get good and kill grounding, but yeah, Ellie is a very solid caster right now. Now, its healer counterpart, Restoration Shaman, it's solid. I'd say it's probably better than HPAL. And one primary reason why it's solid is the same reason why Elemental Shaman is so good in the casters, is that our Shaman is super good in casters as well, because of the shears and grounding it provides. It's just automatically better into casters as having shear and grounding, as opposed to not having shear and grounding. But our Shams obviously lack the healing outputs that something like Restoration Druid would have. But the comps you could play with an Arsham, you can play Ret War, that works, or something like, I played this last season, I liked it a lot. It was Shadowblade with an Arsham, and it was, a solid comp. Now on to Boomkin. Boomkin, I think, is another A tier caster. It does super well with a rogue. Rogue Boomy. Like you just pair these two classes up with like a Disc Priest. Oh my god. That is a sexy comp. Now, Boomy has insane burst with Incarn. Incarn is one of the most insane burst I've seen. Like, the two classes I play right now is Warlock and Boomy. Now, Boomy is very fun because of its burst and the amount of control you have. You can play Rogue Boomy, like I said. I think Windwalker Boomy could be a good comp too, if you played it. I'm not really opposed to it at all. I think it's pretty good. Feral Boomy, probably not. Warrior Boomy, probably not. You can really play with any spec of Rogue as well. Like, I think Asa and Sub are probably the best two, but I think Outlaw can work too as well. And you can play Boomy Warlock, like Boomy Destro can be good probably. I haven't really played it myself, but definitely could be good. Now, Affliction. I think Affliction might have to be our first D tier. Affliction might be the worst caster in the game, I think. Like, all the casters are good, are like solid at least right now. Every last one. Besides Affliction. Affliction, it can be decent into like mirror or caster cleave versus caster cleave. But if you're going against even like one melee, you die very easily. You're super squishy as Affliction. Even when I was playing Frost Mage Demo, we went the Affliction Warlock and we'd just like kick him on Drain Life most of the time. Like I would just save my stun for Drain Life and stun him, and then he would just die. Like it's even squishy against casters. And it's just not very good. Now you might pad the meters a bit. As an Affliction Warlock, you might do the most damage technically, but in reality, like your pressure is obsolete outside of like cooldowns with Rapture spam. Now to Demo, my main spec, this is easily one of the top 3 casters, like right along these guys. And like any 3 of these can probably be the best caster right now. Like either Ellie, Demo, or Boomy can probably be one of the best casters. You can play basically any caster as a Demo. You can play with Ellie, you can play with Boomy, you can play with Mage, you can play with Devastation, kind of. I haven't really played with the Devastation because who the fuck plays Devastation? So, you could probably play with the Dev. I'm not really sure. Rogue Boomy Rogue Warlock, or Rogue Demo rather, can maybe be decent. I think you'd have to play with either an Assassination or Outlaw for it to be decent though. But yeah, really just any caster as Demo and you're good. Now Destro, I think, is right along these casters when it comes to how good they are. Destro can be played with basically all the casters I just listed, but also with a lot of melee. Like you could play Warrior Destro Warlock, you could play Windwalker Destro. Both of those are good comps. Oh, with the Demo you could play DK. DK right there. Like I said before, you can really just put anything with DK and it's good. Demo is one of them. Destro DK, also probably good. And DH Destro, I feel like can be good, definitely. I haven't really played it, but I feel like DH Destro definitely can be a solid comp. And again, Rogue Destro. Probably the best Warlock spec for playing with a Rogue is Destruction Warlock, simply because of your burst you have with that, and the stuns the Rogue provides the Warlock is really good. Now we have Shadow Priest. That is like a solid. I think Shadow Priests are probably above Fire Mage and Devastation. I'd say Shadow Priest is like right along in this area. Shadow Priest, you might not have like the greatest damage output right now, but like in the in the caster cleave matchups, you are like unkillable. You are very hard to kill in caster cleave matchups. Like as my mage lock, I went against Shadowplay, and the Shadow Priest genuinely just walked into our face and stayed full HP the whole time whenever we went him, and then we're like, okay, we're gonna have to push on this Warlock. The Shadow Priest is not dying, not in the slightest, even with a Frost Mage burst on our team. Like imagine that, having Frost Bomb, Ray of Frost Shatter with Demo burst, and then your health does not go below 70%. Like, you were just very hard to kill as a Shadow Priest against casters, what I'm trying to say. Against melee, it might be a different story. Against melee, it might be harder or whatever. But, yeah, your damage output is not as good as any of these casters, really. So that's the primary reason why Shadow Priest is worse right now. Now, we have Enhancement Shaman for our last spec. Enhancement Shaman, I have seen like one Enhancement Shamans in 10.2. And it did not one-shot me. It's an automatic C. Yeah, it didn't do as much damage as it did last season, and I think their survivability is also worse than last season, especially against melee. Like you would probably get fucked as enhancement against melee. But if I had to say some comps that enhancement could play, probably be enhance DK, enhance warrior, or maybe enhance hunter. Enhancement hunter might be decent, like a BM, but overall just not very good. I'll probably put it here, right next to Frost, maybe above Frost. I don't think it's as bad as Frost DK. But yeah, so this is my tier list, and you know, play what you want, unless it's a tank. If you want to play a tank, stop playing the game and play whatever you want, unless you're an AUG again. AUGs are basically tanks, so you just put it down there. But yeah, if this video helped you at all, like, subscribe. I'll see you later.